Welcome to my making of Trouble in the Tomb. I'm doing this the first time in English, and this will be very rough, and I will do many mistakes in pronunciation and grammar, so please forgive that. I want to talk about my movie Trouble in the Tomb, which I did for the Re-Illusion Game Character Animation Contest. This movie is about 8 minutes long. It's probably you have seen it. In the first section of this making of, I'd like to talk about lighting. Okay, let's watch the first scene I did. The first scene you see in the movie, it's Lara Croft searching a tomb. She comes here in the scene, and I'd like to talk about the light I used for the torch. Okay, so as you can see, I used 3 lights for the torch. Let's put this around. So, okay, now you can see. Okay, I am going a bit back. So this light don't bother us because I put this. No, this is not the right one. This is not what I want. So those 3 lights are pinned to the torch, as you can see. And I wanted to create a realistic light for the torch, so I wanted to have this flickering light, and I wanted to have shadows. So in the iClone you have 3 different light sources. So first you got directional lights like this one. Directional lights can cast shadows, and they are like sunlight, so they cast the light in one direction everywhere in the scene. Then the second light is so-called spotlight. It's like it casts the light in one direction, can cast shadows. And then we have the third light, the point light. This light can cast the light 360 degrees in the scene, but there is no shadow at all. So okay, normally I could use only a point light to create the light for the torch, but I wouldn't have any shadows on the wall if I do that. I go to pixel shading to show you some of the shadows. Okay, this is how it looks like in the best shading mode in iClone. And when I go forward, you can see, yes, you can see the shadows on the wall. This is cast from this light, and I open the timeline now. Put this button on object related track, so you have the light you are selected right in the timeline, and I show you the button multiplier. And as you can see, when I zoom the scene a little bit out, you can see a lot of keyframes in the multiplier track. The multiplier track, it's this value above here. This value determines how bright the light will cast. So if you put it to 0, the light will be off. If you put it to 9, the light will be very, very bright. So I did a lot of keyframes, and I always always altered the multiplier a little bit, so I got that flickering light you can see in the scene. As you can see, I used 2 spotlights to create the shadows I need, and I can put this one, light 1, yes, I can this. Let's see, I have a transform. Yes, I also transformed this light a little bit. When she turns around, the torch would be the torch will have another position, so the light must be repositioned to get the light right on the face. That's what I need here. Okay, there's one thing I want to show you about the lighting in this scene. This is light 4. Light 4 is additional light I set up to create a shine on this skeleton. So the lights on the torch I pinned on the torch couldn't illuminate the skeleton like I wanted to be illuminated, so I had to use another spotlight to create the illusion that the torch illuminates the skeleton. So when I go into the camera I used for the movie, so you can see what I mean. The light 4 is has a multiplier 0, so it's really dark. So, and it only starts to cast the light when the torch is coming around, when Lara Croft is turning around into this part of the cave. So from here the light starts to shine on the skeleton, if you can see that now. And when she approaches the skeleton, the light will animate with her, so it will be the illusion that the torch will illuminate this skeleton. Okay, and then I have another light, the fifth light, which I use in this scene, and this is another point light. This is just a little bit. I can go to the multiplier. At the beginning of the scene, the point light is still 0, so it's dark. It doesn't illuminate anything. And when Lara turns around, we go to multiplier 0.54, so it will illuminate the skeleton a little bit like a backlight. So it doesn't do any shadows, it just makes the surface of the skeleton a little bit brighter, so you can see it in the foreground, here in the foreground, when Lara approaches the skeleton. I could turn off every light, and then we can see what I mean. So when she is turning around, the point light is doing a small light on the skeleton, and we can see the skeleton a bit better. Okay, that's all about the lighting, and let's change to another scene from my movie.
Here you are.
Welcome back. Here's another scene of my movie Trouble in the Tom. You can see here the big treasure chamber. I used it from a content pack I bought in the Reallusion Market Store. This is a real big room, and I'd like to talk about a little bit about set design and what decisions I had to take to show the audience the treasure Lara Croft is hunting. So it's not much set design in this movie because we are mostly running through caves, but sometimes we have big rooms, and this is one of the big rooms, the treasure chamber. So Lara Croft will find the treasure she is seeking, and this will be this unbelievable valuable vase. So, and this was one of the main decisions I had to decide how to convince the audience that this is a real ancient artifact. And it took me a while to think about, because I couldn't. There are no text, there are no lines. No one is explaining what kind of artifact this is. So it must be told in the visual way. So it must be visual that this is a really precious thing. And I came up with this glowing thing. So I made this vase glow. So this is really simple to do. You just first you just put a light on it. Okay, this is not right. A point light. Let's show it. So it's pinned to this vase. So every time you move the treasure around, this point light will be there and illuminate the surroundings. To have a light on this treasure, on this vase, solved a little lighting problem for me, because Lara is running through dark caves and this vase is illuminate the surroundings. So this is a perfect thing for me. So it wasn't needed to create a lot of torches and other light sources. The glowing thing is a real simple thing to do. You just put this vase on self-illumination. So self-illumination is 100%, and I gave it a little glow map so that this vase will shine really bright. And you can see also a pile of dirt. So you can imagine that the structure of this building has collapsed. Some parts of it, some parts from the ceiling has collapsed. You can also see that because we have a lot of rocks behind those big pillar here in the middle of the room. Those rocks, I put those rocks there because everything behind this pillar isn't interesting for me. So when you watch the scene, the action takes place only in this part and not in this part behind the pillar. So I put the rocks there to create a certain border, so we don't bother what's behind those rocks. These rocks separate the room in two parts. So in the one part where the action takes place, and in the second part where the background is, which isn't so much interesting for us. So these are decisions I had to make before starting animating this scene. I have something to tell you about the lighting here, because I forgot this in the first part. As you can see, we have still the lights from the torch. It's like the first part, it's the 3 lights right on the torch. We have this light on the base here, and we have 1 light in the background which illuminates the walls. There's also one thing, I only have 8 lights. In iClone 5 and iClone 6 you got infinite numbers of lights, so I always have to think about the lighting, because I can't spend a lot of lights. And to help me with the lighting, I used another thing to illuminate this room, and this can be found in the stage section, the atmosphere tab. When you click on this, you see the fog setting. Fog, this fog is a kind of global fog setting. So, and it's, if I put this out, you can see it gets a lot darker. It gets a lot darker in this scene. So when I put the fog in, now the scene is a bit more illuminated because of the fog. So the fog isn't a light source at all, but it works like a light source. And this helps me a lot to create this scene.